Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael, and my topic is an aquatic vessel response refuge in post-disaster. So before I move on to my topic, I would like to introduce myself a little bit better so you get to know me well and my point of view and my expertise. So I'm actually from Perth, Australia, and we came here to join this event to really deliver my expertise as an architect. So my education was in Curtin University, and our focus point was about humanities. So designing for humanities, being responsible, and creating that quality of space allow people to really enjoy, and a good design actually responds to the human needs. And after graduated last, sorry, my bad. After graduated last year, I actually work in a company, a global company called Woods Bagot, and the same ideology was actually incorporated into the company. We call ourselves the people architecture. So whatever we design was actually human-centered. From an education of humanities to people, I also involve myself in my engagement in Global Design Studio, which is the orange part of this. This is a platform that allowed us to actually have a wonderful community engagement and put myself into their shoe and understanding the humanities. But our tool for architecture is a bit different from the scientific, I guess, scientific approach. We use a tool called design. Sorry. This is one of my favorite, I think, design, I would say design guru or design teacher. He's called Bruce Mal. He said message change is not about the world design, it's about the design of the world. The world is changing because we see design happening around. And once an accident actually happened and a disaster actually happened, we see the resurfacing of design within this kind of happening. So, and a power design can actually respond to that, I would say, the forthcoming disaster or potentially, I guess, impact from the so architecture has really evolved beyond what we know today, and on the left side, which is the orange part, it wrote about unknown condition and terrain. Same as actually natural disaster, we think we know a lot about it, but sometimes we still have so much uncertainty about natural disaster. But architecture has really branched out what they know so far, and there's evolution in architecture has to be having that knowledge, absorbing, engaging. So that's why I'm coming here today to learn from all of you, to have different expertise and collaborate together and produce something designed that could be potentially responsive for humanity. He said architecture skill is quite wasted to actually just make buildings only. So why not having that architecture talk? So response to natural disaster. So my experience of design is a bit different. So when incoming threats, design response. There's four factors that I actually pick up from my experience in my education. There is, when something happened, there will be a migration. When something happened, there will be advance. When something happened, there will be a withdraw, a fortify. So same as the language today we had called beyond. We build beyond, we talk about going to Mars. We talk about moving away from Earth, because there's so many disasters, unsolved things around the Earth. We talk about building up to increase the capacity of a certain locality. We talk about sprawling. We talk about burrow, floating, and submerge. And during my study, I focused on getting inspired by submerging, and it was focusing on designing with inspiration. I think inspiration is a way to help us move forward to the future. looking at my pre-made poster at the middle, these are 3 points that I wanted to deliver. Looking at the current event, what has happened around the world, what has architecture done, and what can I play in that kind of role as well, and produce another future. So I look at the setting out the scene, looking at, climate change. It's not something new. It's something has been happened again and again. People begin to talk. There's impact. There's data. There's from NASA, from different scientific background, talking about how it has happened. The issue is, it's very obvious in the eye of the people. You can see there is the degradation of our current natural resources and all the earth that we so-called call home. And as an architect, we do want to look at the site, because we can't design for everyone. But we can focusing our design and seeing that design can be focused or can be shown with a certain case study. So I focus my site on Japan and looking at there is a need because of the response or the natural disaster that geographically Japan sat on. And understanding the human condition, and as a main hierarchy tool to really help me highlight the human condition, talking about building for the psychogenic, the safety, the love, belonging, and self-esteem. And also understanding the community is one of the key factors to help, push forth the design. So Japan do have the strong community that which is effectively can push forth the design aspect. So designing underwater is not something very, very new. You can see that one of the, the one on this left is actually done by Shimizu Corporation. I think it's a famous Japanese engineering firm. And they propose about ocean spiral design that push forth and also help to respond to natural disaster. So my design basically, or my research or my experience basically sit back to what they're doing. So looking at the conceptual work is a way to inspire people. At the same time, getting inspired, we had to see what's the reality, what thing had happened. We see Ulrich being able to dwell on top of the water, despite that there's natural disaster or big wave of water or high tide. And we see that submarine has the capacity to hold human, to have the capacity to contain human and provide their needs. And Fleet Marine Research is actually one of the most stable research facility for people to dwell on the water. So this is a research map that we a bit different from, the scientific approach. We look at gathering all the data and research from qualitative study, quantitative study, from all the statistic or theories, and merge it and create a story that allows people to understand the impact and the strength of the design. So we collect data, we do research mapping and visual diagram, and also create composite drawing. But one thing that we're using a way to communicate with people, the audience, we use visual presentation. So I started with this, the beacon on the water surface. So, and then to create that connection with to the audience, and also understanding that there's a potential in the design and future of a community underwater, and also expanding the research underwater, which could give us more opportunity. And this is more the technical part of it. So we show you we tell you a story about the scenery, what can happen, but we also tell you about technical, which is the profession or a profession that architecture always focus on. We talk about the scalability to give you a sense of how big it is. we're talking about how it has to be respond, because architecture respond, because natural disaster is something that you can't really hold, you have to respond to it. And we talk to people on plans. All this kind of plan drawing shows the surrounding, the marine creature, the size of the vessel, the idea of how people dwell within it. And also, as it goes down, the pressure of underwater has impact on it. So the image is not just to really, in a way of give you visual communication, but also understanding the importance of how design and how we should look at future. Because when we're preparing for future, it's something that we learn from the current and move towards the future. And this is the collection of the story, that how I started the main story, and then towards the detail, towards the bits and how it works, responsive, and also the celebration within the space, within the inside of the experience of the building. And thank you very much. So, anyone, any question? Yeah, you may.
Thank you very much for your presentation. This is very nice presentation, and I guess this building or this design can be useful in the future.
Yes.
However, can I ask one question related to that function of building, actually related to disaster?
Yep.
So, what is the main function of that building? Because I'm sorry if you already described it, I cannot catch the point. So, what is the main purpose of that building, and what is the related to the disaster protection?
I guess the building itself, I mean the design itself, can become different. I'll answer according to how I understand your question. So the outcome of this design is not actually the final outcome. So we don't focus, because the adequate of this research is only during my study time within my master's unit. And I would say that this design it's not a way to show that this will work, but a way to see that the process of the design, if you scrape all the way about this underwater and look at how the process of thinking, from looking at a specific site as a designer and looking at how the community, the human condition, so how you break down all the information and slowly put in different pieces, because design do not come straight for, oh, this is going to final outcome, this is going to be the only design coming out to respond to natural disaster. There are many different types of ways, but from my I guess my experience and learning, I collected all the information based on data and studies from others, which has scientific proven that this can be, and then brought it back to this building and create that design. I'm not sure whether I fully answer your question, but
I don't understand that. In my understanding now, actually this building is adjusting how this building can prevent disaster, because I guess this building until now, I just imagine that this building for the future will be useful for we to observe the beauty of the sea, but how this building can prevent disaster, right?
Yep. I guess I mean part of my it's quite a short presentation. There's definitely the quality of it, but if we can actually sit down and I can give you more information and talk about how it works and how it is, I think there'll be a great conversation. But at this point, I don't think I can explain everything due to the time that we had. But yeah, I would love to.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.